Well, here we are, part 2 of the series about theaters, historic theaters. We are in Manchester, Georgia, near Warm Springs, and we're going to go inside the President Theater. It was built in the 1930s, underwent a major restoration, and now it has movies and different types of shows, live performances. They have a great deal on children's tickets. And as you can hear in the background, this is a little train town. Manchester was founded around 3 train routes and a mill. And they have this really neat Art Deco theater. President was built by a man, established by a man named Martin in the 1930s, but he named it for President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was in office during the time it was built, who enjoyed visiting nearby Warm Springs. And let's go check it out. Now, this is part 2 in our series. We've been to the Ritz. There's the ticket booth. And we are here. Welcome to the President. He's keeping his eyes on everybody.
He's our mascot. But we have our little box office here, so you know we'll always have someone sitting in there on the night of a show.
Looking out on Manchester, I can hear the train, big train town. We have the trains right across from us. But we don't mind the trains. So come up to this ticket booth. We're going to post all the links. Order your ticket. Have an experience like no other. I know everybody loves those fancy movie theaters with the big lounge chairs. But try something different one day. Try a local theater. Always some cool floors at these theaters.
Well, a lot of these are pieces of the original floor.
Okay.
So,
okay.
you know,
So it was built in 1935.
Yeah.
And are these some sort of
These are
archives?
some pieces that, yeah, the clock was. I don't know if the phone was, quite honestly.
Okay, but the clock was. And the most recent renovation was done in?
The renovations were done in the past about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And they brought everything as close, you know, everything was done from pictures and stuff. So a lot of stuff, I know all the bathrooms, they tried to save as much of the, yeah, like these little patches of this flooring, of course. And even to all the
Let's see, let me get the light on in here. Look at that. Now, did FDR frequent the theater or only was here once?
Oh, no, he was here many times.
Many times.
Yeah, because he lived in the area, so
Right.
he would come over here and come in
Come to
and,
go
you
to
know.
the movies, yeah. So do you know whether they would would he just be amongst the people?
He would just be here with
Amongst the
people.
people.
Yeah, he didn't have the same, you know, like we think of it now. He would drive around in his car.
Right.
He would stop and talk to people.
Right. Then we'll check out the bathrooms real quick. That was something that we went in at the Ritz. The bathrooms were so cool. So Mr. Martin opened the theater in 1935. That was a chain of theaters, correct?
As far as I know, I'm not sure. The man that ran it around here, I don't know that he had others or...
So they've left the bathroom in an older style with the tile. That's a herringbone pattern. Again with the beautiful light sconces. Hey everybody. And I know you don't always go touring bathrooms, but these theaters have cool bathrooms, so we end up touring them. Just the way it goes. Turn out the lights behind us as we leave.
So yeah, so it had been shut down for a really long time and had come into major disrepair.
Right.
And then in the late 80s, early 90s, it was being, it was going to be torn down. And so the city had asked, I think 3 different times, they had tried to list it for tear down. And my mom fought it and fought it and fought it.
I think I saw a video of someone else interviewing you about similar stuff.
Yes.
And your,
so then
your
she ended up
mom,
buying it.
she bought it to preserve it.
To preserve it.
Now, did she just have a love of theater,
You know,
or?
she just had, her whole family is in the business. I've been an actress my whole life. I was in New York. And
so
my
theater's
cousin is
in your blood.
Not theater, actually, film and television.
Okay.
My whole family, my aunt, my cousin Donna,
Right.
my brother-in-law, we're all in the film industry. But she kept thinking, oh, maybe they'll come down and do acting classes or they'll do something, you know. But either way, it was, my mother was always a big believer of Manchester, even when there was no evidence to state that. And so she bought it, she hung on to it, she made the payments every month, and she would do just the bare minimum to keep it from being slated to tear down. And she had a couple of buyers come in that wanted to buy it, and so she turned down some decent offers in order to take the ladies that, you know, she thought would really do some good
Would do
work.
something with it.
And that was her only thing, is it had to be a community theater.
It had to be a community theater.
It had to be something for the town, and
For the
not
town.
somebody wanted to put a pinball gaming
Arcade
center
kind
in
of a
here.
thing.
Somebody else, these guys from Atlanta wanted to do like a music studio, but not one where you could come and see music. They just wanted to do like a music
They were
studio.
going to record here, right?
And but it would be closed to the public, you know.
Right. So,
So, you know, it took a while, but finally, you know, it's been through a lot of ups and downs because,
I'm
you know,
sure.
everything has been raising
COVID
money.
was hard.
Oh, yeah.
COVID was
Well,
hard.
that-
When we
Simi shut
moved
it
to
down for a little
Manchester, it was
while.
for COVID. It was during
Yes.
COVID. So the town really seemed dead to us. And we're hoping for some revitalization
Yes.
because we love small towns. So,
Well,
but
and it's
that's,
happening now, but it's taken a while. So, you know,
Yeah.
Ford was created, and they kind of used it as a rental house for years and did a few little things here and there, but we are now up and running. We've got an amazing
right. We've got
crew.
movies,
Yep.
first of the
Once a
month.
month movies. We've got, you know, roughly once a month something else. We've got a kids camp going on for a week this summer.
Oh, great. A little
We'll
theater
end in
camp.
2 shows. They're
They're gonna
doing.
be playing Moana tomorrow.
Yep. Moana's on tomorrow, right?
Moana?
Oh yeah, yes, that's Saturday. That's the movie.
Right.
Yes, I did have a little girl freak out on me. Is she there? Is she there? Is she there?
So here we are.
My granddaughter.
Beautiful old theater.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Now, is the seating was replaced or
Oh, everything was replaced. It was all gutted.
gutted?
So everything has been replaced.
Still a beautiful old theater. And the sconce lighting on the wall, just like at the Ritz where we were, so cool, so attractive. Art Deco style.
Yeah, and a lot of this was, they couldn't find, you know, obviously exact replicas of what was here. And so a lot of it was, you know, as close to the time as possible, but to use that Art Deco style.
The
to
style,
maintain.
right. And am I correct in reading that the balcony is more of an adult area with like bar top?
Yeah, I can take you up there.
We'll go
too.
up there as well. And so if you've got some kind of little event or you just want to have a grown-up evening, you can rent out the balcony and have an event up there. And is it true also that beer and wine is served at the President?
Yes.
So that's kind of neat.
Beer, wine, and snacks.
Beer, wine, and snacks. And then next month in June, we might be sneaking up here for our first event here at the President because there's an Eagles tribute band going to be here, and we might sneak up for that. That should be really
And
fun.
for all the bands, we have sponsors. So what the sponsor does is pay the fee of the band.
Okay.
With that, they get the upstairs and 20 tickets, and they can have their own private party during the show.
Nice,
There.
nice.
We're going to start doing the same thing with all the movies, because that way
Oh.
kids can do kids' birthday parties and things.
The lone seat.
It is funny.
But it makes it nice because this would be very handicap accessible. You can
Right.
come in with a
Someone in a
friend
wheelchair can sit right
who
next to
is
someone
who
in a
is who is
chair.
rolling through life on wheels. And of course, I'm hobbling through life these days, but that's okay. We sneak behind here and look. Ooh, ooh, we're gonna sneak in here for a second. All right, what is this cool old wall back here?
So this is part of the original wall that was maintained.
Nice. Can I get that light on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Looking out the window. Cool shot out the window there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it was brick, then one layer of plaster, then another little layer of plaster. And this is what the interior walls look like originally, or just...
I believe so. Not in the main area,
Right.
but all these outside ones. you
And
know,
this
anything
door
that could
is
be
super
kept.
thick.
Yes.
This is the size that we see when we find safes or
Yes.
jails. We've been to a lot of old jails.
Well,
imagine.
this is the talent section. So
Okay,
there's the
I
whole
see.
bathroom
Okay,
here
so they can get
with a
ready
shower.
here. They can get washed up and ready here.
That way, if we have people doing like double productions, or they're doing a production, say where they get messy,
Right.
they can
They
you know,
just
have
get
something
sweaty or
right
something.
here. Yeah.
Like a locker room for the stars.
So this whole back side.
This is lovely in here.
So this whole back area over here, because
Now,
it comes
is
to
this
back
an original
here.
chair?
This is one of the original chairs.
Look at that, guys. Isn't that cool? Now, when we were at the Ritz in Thomaston, they have about 4 rows of a few original seats
That's very
up on the
cool.
balcony, and it's just neat to see. They get a lot of complaints because they're not as comfortable. We're also spoiled with the new lounge luxury
Right.
seating of the movie theaters of today.
So this whole area back here is for the talent. That way they can come in and out from the front, from the door here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they have dressing rooms. They have plenty of closet space
Mm-hmm.
here, plenty of mirrors.
Makeup space and get all theater ready, stage ready, camera ready right here, which is neat. So there are live performances, not just movies
Right.
here at the President. Some of the theaters that we've talked about are only showing movies, but they've got the space for talent, which is super cool.
And then we have basically a work kitchen here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the wood from these tables was actually pulled out of the building when they were doing
Oh,
renovation.
how beautiful.
And we did the countertop over here. And
I'll check
and
that
the
out, too.
table Here.
There was actually a funeral held here.
There were for a short time. The original board decided when they were trying to just raise money and get things up and running that they would allow a couple
Whatever,
of funeral homes or
right.
all the funeral homes in town if they wanted to do
Way to raise
memorial
money.
events or things
Right,
like that.
right,
so we did
right.
that. We are no longer doing that just
Right.
because we're now at a point where we've got enough shows that we're
But
trying to
you're
book.
good.
So by
good.
next year, we'll have a pretty good setup of, several shows,
Mhm,
several
mhm.
shows a month. A lot of stuff going on.
And this is what she was talking about. This is some
Just
wood.
the wood on the counters and the wood on this table was actually pulled from the building.
Part of the
when they were
original
having
theater.
Yeah.
Very
so they just
nice.
kept it and made the tabletops.
I like the
out of it.
black and white theme. Always seems appropriate for a theater.
Yeah, and a lot of things, they ended up here because they were donated. So that's the style we went with because they were
Well,
free.
And that's in your budget
Free
when
is our
you're
favorite style.
struggling. Now let me ask you a question. You're showing movies digitally, correct? or
I
not.
think they're actually DVR right now.
DVR.
But they're setting that up.
Because the projections for the new digital stuff is very expensive, and what we've learned is this is what's put some of the older theaters out of business.
Yes.
The high cost.
Yeah.
Hollywood went digital and didn't consider small town. Now, who would this gentleman be?
I don't know. I found him in the basement.
Okay. Well, basement guy. Maybe his spirit still lingers
should
here.
have
There
it
might
out
be some
there.
ghosts here at this theater. You never know. I'm sure there
I've
are.
got a few because I've been here by myself before.
And what kind of things have happened to you, Miss Summer?
Well, I've heard noises. I've
Right.
heard creeping in here. I've
Ooh,
heard
creeping.
someone. It sounded like someone was coming up from the. This is our basement, and it goes under the whole thing, and it has the old system that they used to, shovel the coal in.
Oh, do you think we could go down there?
Are you okay to go?
Yeah, let me get Mark. He might like that. Coming down in the old basement.
Is there a jail down here?
No jail, I don't think. Some old graffiti. And a cool little workspace there. We're slow, but we're gonna make it. We're in the basement of the theater. Because there's always cool stuff to see in a basement.
Yeah, a lot of these are old prop walls that were painted, and we just keep them and repaint them.
Right.
For whatever show is happening. I think these were from one of the Christmas shows. I'm not sure.
Nice.
But
Let's
this
see
is
the
the
old-
old. This is part of the old furnace that
Wow.
the wall. It was this whole area.
So this
So
was
this
the
whole-
original to heat the theater.
Yeah,
It
this
was
whole
coal.
thing. So you shoveled it in from back there, and this whole thing was it. So instead of tearing, we just tore down the center of it
Right.
to make room.
And
But we
they
still have a lot
kept
of
it.
pieces. I have several of the old reels that were used for movies.
Huh. So this was the old coal chute.
Yeah.
Now, did the theater open with air conditioning?
Not in its original days.
No.
No, does now.
Right, because in the 20s, that was a big draw to theaters to get people in.
Yeah, I don't believe it did. I don't know of it.
Okay.
Here, this is the Rotoblast Turbular.
Look at that.
It's fascinating.
Roboblast
Atlanta,
tubular
Georgia.
concrete furnace. Atlanta, Georgia. Isn't that neat? You just don't see something like that every day.
I know.
An old furnace. Look at this. That's so cool. That is really neat. It was worth hobbling down the steps
Yeah.
to see that. That is very neat.
Almost wish it was upstairs.
And they've got a lot of
Shut it off.
storage and stuff. And here's your big beams that would have original support. Cool. Very cool.
Taking a break?
Yeah, I was taking a break. I was looking at the old wood right there. It just kind of looked neat with the old colors on it and the old nails there. And we're up and out.
Okay.
Neat.
Here, come up here and I'll show you. Okay. The screen is down, so
You're
it's
okay,
usually up,
Judy.
except we have a movie Saturday, so
Yep, on
all getting
stage.
set up for that. So we have, as you see, we have a really big stage because this was also an old vaudeville theater.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a good size.
Now, was there an orchestra pit here, or never had an orchestra pit? No.
No.
So it was, when it opened, the movies were already talkies. So there was no need for...
It was a vaudeville theater before it was a movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact course of it. I do know that these rooms back here, they're these teeny little rooms and these little windows. One was the women's dressing room and one was the men's.
Oh, interesting.
And so they could look over to see how the show is going.
Uh-huh.
We've actually put speaker panels in them now.
Right.
And they're tiny little rooms up there. It's amazing how many people, they had a row and a counter in the women's one, and that's gone, but it's amazing how many people could sit across there getting their makeup ready.
Isn't that funny?
To come
That's
perform.
funny.
And we have our baby grand. So
Lovely.
yeah, there's access on both sides. This side of the stage, you can actually, there's a door going to the outside, so bands can pull down there.
And unload all their equipment.
Yes.
And the old steps. Really neat. Let me have my phone for a minute. I'm going to do the ghost app for one quick second. Just for fun. So I am into the ghost thing, and you mentioned you're probably going to do something maybe in the fall, are you thinking?
We're
or
doing a, what did she call it? A spirit something. It's a tour. We're doing it from the high school to the theater.
Mhm.
And we're going to do
And
probably
who's
4 shows.
who's doing that?
Honor Hayes Hendricks, one of our board members, myself, Laura Murphy.
Nothing.
Ooh, not yet. And they are telling historical
they'll be telling
stories?
stories around the city of different places where ghosts have been spotted, or whatever. She'll work on that. She's been talking to people if you know any ghost stories, and then they'll do a little tour and they'll bring everybody and they'll end here, and we'll just have something like Nosferatu or some old movie play, and they'll come in, they'll have have a drink, have some Halloween candy or something.
Oh, fun.
And
That
go home.
sounds
So
fun.
It's just the walking tour.
Gotcha. Well, I need to get in contact with them, see if they need any help putting any of that
Yes.
together.
Absolutely.
He's right behind you.
Oh, great.
There's someone right behind you. Coming right towards us. That's what they do. When they get to the center, then they're on top of you. Sometimes you get goosebumps. Just depends. In these theaters, it's funny. I'm only picking up like one at any of the theaters. So there's like maybe one spirit that's like, it's my theater.
Please be nice and help us get it going.
Yes. Here he is right on top of us.
Yep.
Now, are there any interesting stories about the theater? Any fires or anything like that?
I don't believe that I know of. I'll have to, ask around to some of the older board members that have been around to see what they've heard.
Mm-hmm.
This has been renovated recently, hasn't it? You can smell the paint. Ain't even dried all the way. They did a good job on the drywall work.
Very beautiful. All right, I think we're going to try to find the balcony next. Sure. Folks have donated over the years to keep the theater going. You can see they've done a wonderful job bringing this girl back to life.
How high does it drop?
There must be a fire escape out there or something, huh?
So right now this is being used primarily as a private party.
Private
space.
party.
And that's why it's
Have
set
a
up with high top tables.
Bit of a bar
instead of-
set up here.
Yeah. So people can set up their own system up here. Our little sound booth.
So from these bar top tables, you can enjoy a show and sort of have your own private little lounge up here. Again, with the Art Deco style lighting. I always think of Frank Lloyd Wright with the straight lines.
Yeah, these are very much him.
Very much.
And then our little sound booth is right in here.
And would this have been the original projection?
I think
Or
so, yes.
Okay. With nice. The mixer board. Best view in the house.
And it's all on a dimmer so they can work in here and yet still keep some light on, of course.
Neat. Very cool.
And then back here, this is just a storage room, but one nice thing it has in here is the original projector.
Oh, how interesting.
So we still have pieces and
Look at
parts
the reels.
of
Look
the
at this.
original systems back in here. So
All right, let me see if I can get a little closer in there. Look at this. There is an old.
I'd love to get it set up and mounted like out here or something.
Right.
It's
Yeah, really.
so beautiful.
It's just, yes, just amazing. Times sure have changed. The video you're watching right now was filmed on a camera I can hold in the palm of my hand, and the images are stored on this little card the size of a thumbnail. And of course, like we were saying, the only reason you can actually watch motion pictures is because of a visual phenomenon that helps your brain. Oh, look at the little door.
Yeah, that gets out to the marquee.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Change lights and everything.
Look at this. Persistence of vision. You retain an image for a fraction of a second after you've seen it in real life. And if you put these frames together in rapid succession, you have motion pictures. There. Neat. Really neat. Really neat. Yeah, that's gotta, you're gonna have to do something with that sometime.
I know.
And get it out
It's wonderful.
on display, and that's cool to have. That's cool to have.
Get out behind there. And then usually when people are having parties, we just put this table here. That way nobody's tempted to go back there and bother anything. And also we can set up, they can set food up.
Set food up, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a silly question just popped in my head. Does anybody know where Mr. Roosevelt would have sat?
I don't.
Whether he had a regular, some people have a regular seat in the theater. I was just curious if there was. It was so funny because at the Ritz, the owner was saying that the ghosts are in the back row over here.
Interesting.
FDR, of course, he did spend a good bit of time just a few miles from here in Warm Springs. And he came here on his own, in his own car, that was specially made for him to drive, to enjoy a movie with just the common folk. That was something different about FDR. He considered himself part of the common folk, which in that era is kind of interesting because he was one of the filthy rich.
Oh yeah,
And he was quite the elitist, yes, but he's still connected with the commoner. Beautiful theater. The President in Manchester. We're going to post all the links to this really neat place. Come on and take in a show here. Do some reminiscing. Do it like they used to do it in the theater. Support your local theater. I know you all have got nice TVs at home, but it's something special about seeing something at the theater.